is giving us another image. Yes, of course, that's systemic racism. However, what is the difference between the state and the government? Any ideas? If you don't know, there's no problem. Actually, it's a difference that is kind of difficult to grasp sometimes. So if you
That
have, tell me.
could be that they kind of following all the governmental organizations as or public organizations
Hmm.
like I don't know the police and some others included in the government could be only do the part of how can I say legislation.
The legislation.
Okay.
No problem. All right. Yes, you're right on one part. The state is the organization of a community, right? Is the organization of the institutions and the organization of the different factors or the different actors that play a part in Colombia, for example, right? So the state would be, yes, the police, the legislative branch of the government, either the Camera or the Senate, the executive power, the judicial power, all the control instances, everything like that. However, the government, when we talk about the government, we talk about a specific group of people that worked in the state in a specific amount of time. So we talked about the Colombian state, but if we talk about the Colombian government, right now we are making reference to Duque and to all of his cabinet and all of the people who are working with him, right? So that is pretty much when we talk about the state, we talk it in an impermanent way, in in a general way, and the regular organization of a state. Colombia is a state that has three branches of power. The president is elected every 4 years, blah, right? We're talking about the general structure. If we talk about the government, we're talking about the specific people who are in power in a determined moment of time. All right. The state is the nation and country itself, and the government is the management. Yes, the people who are in charge of managing the country. Oh, that's totally true. Good, good, good. All right. So, yes, coming back. Systemic racism is when racism is present in the state, right? For example, for example, back in the time before the civil rights movement, that means the first part of the 20th century, there was something called Jim Crow laws. I will give you time or I will give you this piece of information so you can research about it later on, okay? So Jim Crow's laws, that's one part. For example, if we talk about the organization of a city, there is a concept called redlining, right? And redlining establishes which neighborhoods were destined to white people and which neighborhoods were destined to black people. And that is how they separated both ethnicities based on the capacity of obtaining housing, right? Redlining was related with housing and places to live. So, for example, that is why we see that there are some neighborhoods that are really nice, really beautiful, right? Well taken care of, and that everything is pretty much perfect in those neighborhoods. However, you also see that there is no presence of other ethnicities. Perhaps one, perhaps two, but the diversity or the ethnic diversity is not very present in those neighborhoods, right? On the other hand, you find other neighborhoods that don't have the best conditions, that don't have the best things, and those are destined to minorities, right? Actually, there is an expression in the English language or in American English that is the projects, right? The projects are those building complexes with tons of apartments. I don't know if you have seen them in the movies, right? But it's those really, really tall buildings where you have a lot of apartments, but the quality of life is not the best. The zone or the environment around the building or the apartment building is not the best, right? Mm, so yeah, that's what we call the projects. And those projects were very destined to be applied or to be offered to minorities and to ethnic diversities, right? So we can notice that systemic racism is when as the meme that Laura was telling us about, right? It's not that people in the state are racism. No, it's that the state itself is designed in order to discriminate certain types of people. Here in Colombia, we can see it with the indigenous tribes, right? They say, oh, the indigenous tribes and the territory of the indigenous tribes belongs to them and they have all the right to live in them. However, if the indigenous tribes leave that territory, that's when we have the problem. That is why everybody gets so shocked when the Minga arrives in Cali. That is why people get so shocked when the indigenous tribes go to protest in Bogota. Because, oh, we gave you a space, but that is your space. You're not supposed to come near me. That's kind of discrimination, you know. Because if we are serious about this, well, the indigenous tribes or the indigenous communities, they were here before the country itself was here. Anyhow, all right. Are we clear about these concepts? Are we all understood about these concepts? Hello? All good, all clear? Any questions? Any doubts so far? All right. Just making sure. All right. So, all right. Well, we didn't meet on Friday, and I tried to tell you that I was going to give you a piece of information to read on. However, I needed to contextualize all these things and to get all of these terms and all of this vocabulary clear for you before we could start or before we could check on the text, right? So I am going to send you right now a link that is from the um, Rolling Stone magazine, right? The Rolling Stones magazine. And it talks about the same situation that took place in Charlottesville, right? However, well, it talks more, or it also mentions the background of white supremacy, how white supremacy has been present in the United States throughout history. And they actually mention a little bit, or they talk a little bit about the Klan, about the Ku Klux Klan. So yeah, I wanted us to contextualize first because we could before we could proceed with the reading of this part. So yeah, pretty much that. All right. Um. Hmm. So so. I am going to leave you this piece of information for you to read it, or for you to investigate on it. If you want to check more information, you can check more information, you just can search for more sources, right? But I am going to give you this piece of information for you to read about, to read on, okay? I was thinking about doing this in class to continue. However, well, I am not sure if we're going to have enough time to cover this up. And well, you know that I don't like to leave things halfway through. So I'm going to give you this piece of information. Please read it. Please research on the topic. Not only about the Charlottesville incident, but about the white supremacy and all this situation in general, right? And we will continue on Wednesday with the second part of this, okay? I just wanted us to get in context, to get in touch with the topic first before we go deep in that. There's one thing that I need to tell you, right, to the people who accepted or who said that they would like to participate in this kind of project. I need to send you the communications this week. I was going to send them this weekend, but well, I have to verify everything with my tutor, and my tutor was a little bit busy this weekend. So she's sending me the corrections and all the observations today. And as soon as I have everything, I will um, update, or I will give you the communications, and I will share the participation letters with you. All right, just to let you know about that part of the protocol, because I was not able to complete it this past week. So yeah, pretty much that's it. Um, we're going to stop right here, as I told you, right? So please um check on the link, right? Check on the article that I just gave you. And please, yeah, if you want to research, if you want to find out, please try to contextualize yourselves as much as you can, because we will talk a little bit about this on Wednesday, or we will try to contextualize a little bit about this on Wednesday. All right. So. Hmm. So we're going to start right here. As I told you, people, I'm going to let you go, and nothing. Any questions, any doubts, or anything that was not still clear about today's topic? All good? Everything clear? All right, Mimir time. Yes, of course. All right, so people, I'm going to let you go. Please read the article, please research on the topic, and I will see you on Wednesday in our regular class time. So nothing. Have a good day. Have a good beginning of your week. Take care. Hugs and kisses to everyone. All right. Bye bye. Christian, I'll stay. Don't worry. I have 1 minute. I have a minute. So, people, thank you very much. Hope you have a good day. Bye bye. Bye bye.